Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings, the card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride, and today we will be talking about the Silvan Tracker. It is a 3-cost, 1 willpower, 1 attack power, 1 defense strength, 3 hit point Silvan ally that has the response after a Silvan character readies during the refresh phase, heal 1 damage from that character.
And so Grant and I are talking about these cards because certain cards only make sense in certain decks. And so this is one of those cards that makes sense really in just a Silvan deck. You're not going to put this card in a Gondor deck or anything like that because he really is there just to heal the Silvans. So we're going to spend some time really talking about this card and how it works in the Silvan deck, the Slippery Silvan deck here that we're talking about. So, Grant, what do you think of this card?
I like it. I mean, it's high cost. That was my biggest issue when it came out. It's in the low sphere, and they've already got card draw, but they don't necessarily have access to resource generation. So, when it first came out, it was like, we didn't have that many Silvans. We had Legolas. We had
maybe Haldir.
You had Haldir from the Journey to Roscabel, but you didn't really have an expanded archetype at this point in time. And that goes how to show you how much they look forward when designing these cards. I mean, that response of healing in the refresh phase, that captures what Law does well. They support each other. They support overall other decks or other characters. And Silvan Tracker being able to heal, that's not just 1 damage from one character, that's 1 damage for every Silvan. So if you've got a board full of Silvan characters that have just taken damage from a Necromancer's Reach, not a Necromancer,
Necromancer's Reach. Yep.
Yeah. Necromancer's Reach. You just healed up all that damage. In my opinion, it's very potent when used correctly. What are your thoughts, David?
Well, as you know, I've been kind of running this Slippery Silvan deck, and this kind of been the what we're basing this first set of deck cards on, and so I think that the Silvan Tracker doesn't have any value outside of a Silvan deck. Really, like, if I were ranking him, a little foreshadowing for a ranking. But within a Silvan deck, the amount of healing that can occur with this guy is nuts. Totally nuts. Now, if you're taking 1 damage because of archery or so, a lot of Silvans aren't going to survive that archery or a Necromancer's Reach or whatever. So you have to be okay with losing those one hit point allies. But when you have Thranduil, who is a defender, who can defend for 3 and has 4 hit points, and he's defending a 6 attack thing, to be able to to be able to heal him with 1 or 2 Silvan Trackers out in play every round is amazing. It really is, and you're right. For 3 cost, it's expensive in the beginning, but mid game to end game, when you have your Silvan Trackers out on the board, it really changes how quickly and what you can do. And there's times when I'm looking for reasons to exhaust my heroes just so they can ready in the resource phase so that we can heal them up. But so that Silvan Tracker, I think, is vital, and it's actually in this deck that I'm running the only source of healing that I've found that I have needed in the scenarios that I've run. I'm sure there's reasons why you would need other types of healing, but in this case, the Silvan Tracker really does an awesome job healing all your characters.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. For what he does well. Um, and especially with lately with the introductions of archetype decks, like where you want to run a thematic Sylvan deck or a thematic Dwarf deck or a thematic Noldo deck, anything like that, you've got cards designed for that. Silvan Tracker was one of the first designed for the Sylvan archetype, whether that be the Slippery Silvans or just running an entire Sylvan deck. It doesn't have to follow the archetype that David set out. This is a good card to put in if you have access to low resources.
Yeah, and with the with Olorien to reduce his cost to 2 really helps out a lot too. So
I like the flavor text attached to this card. The Wood Elves tracked him first, an easy task for them, but his trail was still fresh then. Gandalf, the Fellowship of the Ring. And I'd also like to put out, this is another fine card art from Magali.
yeah, Magali Villanueva is just an amazing artist and did a lot of amazing elves. It's almost like this deck is a shout out to Magali.
But it's not just elves that she did. All our cards, I don't think I've had an issue with any of them looking anything but excellent.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, there's not really much to say about this card outside of the healing in the Sylvan archetype. So should we get to ringing this guy?
Yep.
So I guess we have a little system here, and so for these cards that we're talking about in this deck, we're actually doing 2 ring ratings. We're doing a ring rating from 1 to 10 within the deck or within the Silvan archetype, and then one as a general rating outside of the deck as just part of the card pool. So, Grant, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate the Silvan Tracker?
As part of the overall card pool, I'd rate it as a 7 because it is expensive and although it heals all Sylvans that you control, oh no, it's just all Sylvans in general. It's expensive. It doesn't do much for the way of stats, and there are better cards in the entire that can do what he does, maybe a little bit better. So I'm giving him a 7 rings as part of a packet. As part of the deck archetype for the Sylvans, I'm giving him a 5. He's brilliant. He does what needs to be done. He heals up the characters, and I can't really say much more than that. David, how about yourself?
So I think I'm going to be a little more extreme than you. I think that you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about him as general use. I think as a general use healer, he's really kind of a useless sort of card. There's way better ways to heal. You know, there's attachments, Ethelos, Lembas, that work better, and then Warden of Healing and Yoriath, and that just too many good cards that are way better to heal. So I think he's got to be a 9. He's not the trash bin, only because he does have uses inside a Sylvan deck, whether it's this type of deck or the Slippery Silvan deck, or whether it's a different Sylvan deck. But he's very corner case. But I think within this specific deck, he's the only source of healing that there needs to be in general. I've played this deck a lot, and within this deck, you're really talking about, trying to find him. You can tree people him in. You can do all sorts of things to get him in. And I think that there's a lot of time when you just need to have healing in a deck. And this guy, and I will say that he does have 3 hit points, so that makes him very nice to have out as an ally. And then in the first round with Celeborn out, he has 2 defense. I mean, so he can take some damage. So I think as an ally within the deck, he's really good. But he could be replaced with some other cards. So I think we're looking at a 3 in my opinion for him. He's really good in the deck. So join us next time as we talk about more cards from the game. Have a great day. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.